Hello and welcome to Traditional Painting the Digital Way. This is where I use digital painting apps to teach traditional painting techniques. This is the final part of my Southwest Saguaro series, and in this video we're going to add the little neat trick that Bob Ross used to do. So if you're following along traditionally with traditional materials, check out part 1 in this series, where I have a list of all my paint and canvases and brushes that I use. The app we're going to be using is ArtRage 5 for Windows, and we're going to start by taking off the stencil. And the way you do that is you go ahead and do a right click with your mouse button or a long press with your Surface Pen, and that will bring up the menu, and you can go ahead and just say remove stencil. And if you're doing this traditionally, what you need to do is just lightly pull off the contact paper that you've got on your painting. And that should leave you with a nice oval shape there. And so we want to go ahead now and go out of frame of this oval shape. And this is the neat little trick that Bob Ross used to do. Just to add interest to your painting, he would either add a saguaro. I think he did a series with a saguaro in it once, or he usually did pine trees. But since we're doing the saguaros, we're going to go ahead and make a very big, tall saguaro right on the edge, and we're going to make it break out of the frame. And that just kind of makes it look really neat and gives it kind of a 3D effect to your painting. So here I'm using a really dark purplish mixture for the big cactus, and you can use dioxazine purple if you're following along with your acrylics, and then add a little bit of some hooker's green on the top there, but don't cover up all your dark underpainting because we want to let it show through a little bit through the green, because we're trying to give the impression of stickers and jagged edges that are on the saguaros. And I'm adding a little bit different shades of purple, and then you can highlight it a little bit with some yellow ochre, and I'm using some of the pastel variants in ArtRage just to get that rough look. And then go ahead and smudge it in on ArtRage 5, and blurred frosting works really well for blending, but don't get rid of all the rough edges. We want it to look still rough and stickery. And go ahead and make sure that the highlight is on the right side of your cactus, because that's where the light source is coming from in our picture. Then I'm going to add some bushes that are also breaking out of the little oval frame that we've made. And you can use your number 10 bristle brush and just tap with the end of it. And if you're following along with acrylic painting, and you can use your hooker's green mixture with some dioxazine purple, throw in some white acrylic gesso, some yellow ochre, just kind of give it some different colors for the bushes at the foot of the saguaro. And then I'm adding in a little bit of twiggy bushes there at the bottom, and you can use a light mixture of cadmium orange with white acrylic gesso, or a really dark purple mixture for the twiggy bushes. And you can use some of that color for the highlight also on your big saguaro. And just keep everything rough again, and make sure that you add a little bit of orange there, because that gives it some color and makes it really colorful and looks like the sunlight is glistening off the stickers on the cactus. And here I'm adding in some more bushes at the bottom, breaking out of the oval frame again, just to give it that little 3D look. And you can use yellow ochre if you're using your acrylic paints. And I wanted to add an old dead tree stump to the left side just as our eye stopper in the picture. And an eye stopper is just an object that keeps the viewer's eye in the painting and keeps it from wandering off the painting and losing interest. And so I was trying to get a shape here, but I didn't really like the shape that I was getting for this old dead tree trunk, and so I went ahead and kind of erased it again. And if you're doing this traditionally and you don't like what you've got, if you're using acrylic paint, grab a paper towel and dip it in water and just rub it off right quick. You have to do this really quickly though, before the acrylic paint gets really dry. And so I went ahead and just erased it on ArtRage, and that's why it's nice to have it on a separate layer here, because then you don't mess up your background. And so I just kind of refined the shapes of the old tree trunk and the branches that were sticking out. And if you're following along with your acrylics, use a burnt umber color with white acrylic gesso, and you might throw in some cadmium orange just to make it look a little bit lighter. Here I'm adding a little bit of dark brown. You can probably use burnt umber for that if you're following along with your acrylics. And I just wanted kind of some old twisted and gnarled branches sticking out of the picture. And that will also give it its 3D effect on this side. And then I'm adding more bushes just to settle down the bottom of the tree into the painting there. And you can use burnt sienna colors if you're following along with your acrylics, or hooker's green, dioxazine purple. We just want some brown colors and some yellowish colors, and then that gives it a 3D-ish effect. I'm adding a little bit of some highlights on the bushes there, and you can use phthalo yellow green for that if you're following along with your acrylics, and add a little bit of cadmium orange on the tree just to give it a little bit of a highlight, like the setting sun is hitting the edge of your tree branch. And then here I'm just kind of blurring it in a little, but don't blur it all because we want most of it to show up, but we're just kind of trying to blend it in a little bit. And I use blurred frosting in ArtRage 5. You can use your finger or a paper towel if you're following along traditionally. Here I'm just putting in a little bit more of the bushes at the bottom there. And then I'm doing what's the equivalent of stepping back from your painting. I'm moving everything over to the side and kind of shrinking it a little bit and putting everything in the taskbar mode so that you can see exactly what you need to do with your picture and see if you want to add anything else to it. I'm blurring things up a little bit, adding a little bit of some highlights to the tree, just a little bit more color to the picture, a little bit more color to the cactuses, just looking around and seeing places that need to be touched up. And then I'm signing it here, but as you all know, if you've been following along with my videos, that doesn't mean that I'm through. Just means I put the signature in, and you can kind of get an idea of what the painting's going to look like by putting in your signature, but you might want to do a little bit more. And of course, I always find a little bit more that I want to do. And so what I decided that I would do is just kind of bring up the bushes around the bottom of the little twigs that are sticking out of them, and kind of blur that a little bit. And right now I'm collapsing some of the layers so that I don't have so many layers open, and because that causes this program to lag on my Surface Pro 3 sometimes. And then here I'm just kind of blurring the ends of the twigs that are sticking up out of the bushes, and the blurred frosting brush works really well. And if you're doing this traditionally, just take some of your green color and kind of lightly tap over the bottom of these twigs, and we just want them to look like they're sticking out of the bushes and not that they're just a line that's drawn on your picture there. You want to give it the indication that it's a bush and there's twigs in it. So then I decided to step back again, and I shrink it down. This is how you do the step back digitally. And take a look at it and see if there was anything else that I wanted to add to it. And I think it's pretty good, so I decided, okay, well, I think I'm finished now. So I just went ahead and saved it, and then what you can do for ArtRage 5 is that when you're finished and you don't want it in the ArtRage format anymore, you have to go into the file and export it out as a JPEG or PNG file or just whatever format that you want, and that will be your final painting that you can upload to have prints and whatever you want to do with it. So this is the end of my Southwest Saguaro series, and everybody stay tuned. I'll have a brand new series uploaded pretty soon. So thanks everybody for watching. Thank you so much for your support. If you have any questions or suggestions about what you would like to see in the future, just leave them in the comments down below. And I will catch you later.